Warm greetings to all and welcome to the fourth episode of ReTalks. ReTalks is an initiative of RIKA Institute, as you by now you all must already know. And RIKA Institute has a dedicated focus on research and innovation. This institute is aimed to work in the sector of disaster education, innovation, research, training, and awareness generation so as to build a culture of resilience in the society. And this is our fourth episode of the Retalks shows, which are planned every month featuring experts who enable us to understand risk and building resilience on different aspects of DRR. And today we are very happy to welcome our guest, Dr. Sudip Mitra from IIT Guwahati. Let me briefly introduce him to you all. Dr. Sudip Mitra is an associate professor and head of the Center for Disaster Management and Research at the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, Assam. Prior to this, he has served as a faculty at various institutes, for example, Central University of Assam, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, NIDM, and post PhD since 2000, Dr. Mitra has been working in the field of natural resource management, livelihood, climate change, and greenhouse gas management, specifically in the agriculture sector. He's also worked at various national and international organizations like MS Swaminathan Research Foundation at Chennai, the Energy and Resources Institute, which we commonly call TERI, and the TERI University. He's also worked at Division of Ecology and Natural Resources at the Center for Development Research, University of Bonn, Germany. Dr. Mitra has also worked as a team member in one special international project coordinated by Inter Academy Council Amsterdam, the Netherlands. This project studied the science and technology strategies for improving agriculture productivity, food security, and environment in Africa, and was carried out on the request of the then UN Secretary General, Mr. Kofi Annan. Dr. Mitra has many years of experience in working with farmers and village communities and has played a significant role in connecting science and technology with society. As a Fulbright scholar, he's also carried out a short study on greenhouse gas modeling for Californian rice ecosystem at University of California, USA, under the mentorship of Professor Johan Six. His works in the field of agriculture and rural development have already been recognized by LEAD India, and he's been inducted as a fellow of LEAD India. Welcome to our show, sir, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Sukrit.
So, sir, coming to your expertise, can we begin with our today's topic is climate smart agriculture, and not many of us are aware as to what does the term mean. So, can you explain us all what do we mean by climate smart agriculture?
Right. First of all, Sukrit, thank you very much for having me in this discussion. And thanks also to RIKA and its administrative bodies. Now, today, climate smart agriculture is not something very new. People now are aware of this terminology, but quite a lot of people are not yet. Now, this climate smart agriculture, if you see that there are actually three words: climate, smart, and agriculture. So three words are there, and these three words are very distinctive, right? So the meaning of climate, we all know, it's a kind of a statistical average of an change of weather events over a long period of time, and that's why often it is said that you should not consider anything as climate change if it happens only within a very small span of time. It has to be more than 50, 100 years, something like that. So that's why it is said that climate change has to be for a period of 50 years and more of statistical average. Now, second term is smart. Now that everybody knows that what is smart actually mean. And then third is agriculture. Now that also people know it. So now climate plus smart plus agriculture. That is exactly what is climate smart agriculture. So in brief, we call it CSA. CSA, or climate smart agriculture, it is an approach which normally pursues not one, not two, but triple objectives of sustainable, increasing productivity, incomes, and also adapting to climate change and reducing greenhouse gases. So three objectives. Then only we will say that is climate smart agriculture. Number one, sustainable increase in productivity of agricultural food and fibers. Second, income. And third, adapting to the climate change and also reducing the greenhouse gases emission from agriculture. If we can attain these three objectives, then we can say that is climate smart agriculture approach. So just I once again, for the benefit of all, would like to say that it is just a way, a methodology in the field of agriculture where it looks at mainly three objectives: increasing productivity, increasing resilience or adaptation, reducing greenhouse gas emission. And finally, now, very recently, one more point has been added to that. What is that? That is enhancing the achievement of development goal, SDG. So this is all about what is climate smart agriculture means today.
Yes, I think you've explained the sort of evolution of how the term has evolved, and now sustainable development has also been added. Sir, coming to disaster risks, so what are the key challenges that are posed by the climate change and some of the disaster risks to the agriculture, and how do you think this approach of climate smart agriculture can help?
Yeah, very good question, Sukrit. Um, See, one of the major, disaster uh, risk that agriculture sector is should be always ready for, and that is drought. Drought is one of the single greatest you know uh, risk or event which can cause havoc to agricultural production loss, followed by flood, storms, pests and diseases, and wildfires. So these are the few disaster risk which has a climate change link posing towards agriculture. So climate change actually, what it is doing in the domain of disaster risk is that it is enhancing the risk. It may not be the main reason for the disaster, but it certainly enhances the risk of a disaster. And as I mentioned, when you talk about agriculture and disaster risk posed because of climate change, then to my mind, these are the risks: drought, floods, storms, pest and disease, and wildfires, which we should be really, very careful for. And just to add to that, over almost 34% of crop and livestock production loss in most of the LDC and LMI6 countries, low and lower development countries, is basically for drought. And it if you evaluate in monetary term, the loss is almost 36 to 37 billion US dollar. it's a huge amount of economic loss. And drought, all of us we know that it impacts agriculture almost exclusively. The sector, especially the agriculture sector, sustains almost around 80 to 82% of all drought impact compared to 18% in other sectors. So that is one critical aspect. So agriculture actually get more affected than the other sectors, and naturally so. Then you have, I said, that another where climate change and disasters can have a link with agriculture is crop and livestock pest diseases. So these things, when climate change takes place, temperature increases, humidity changes, then this pest disease infestation, everything, dynamics, everything changes. In some places the infestation may go very high, in some places may go very down, because these are all linked with this weather parameter, climatic conditions. So that's why that many places across the world, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, many other parts of the world, facing havoc because of this kind of disaster risk, which has a link with climate change. So, and I can give you actually, couple of example. It is not only that in India or African continent, but Latin America, then the Caribbean countries, where disaster impacts, uh, during almost in the same time frame, it has created huge economic loss. So it is not only Asia and Africa, but many other continents. So to make this long story short, is that this can impact the climate change related disasters can impact agriculture anywhere, everywhere. So we need to be prepared. We must enhance the resilience of the agricultural system to face this kind of impending disasters, and that's why perhaps climate smart agriculture could play important role.
So, sir, like you've mentioned that there are certain risks like drought and also flood. So they are like the two extremes. So sometimes they can be in different region or they can be at the same place at different point of time also. So how
Correct.
climate smart agriculture address these risks?
Yes. As I said at the very beginning, when you asked me the first question about the meaning, I said no, there are three objectives, and the last one very recently added also SDG. The third objective is to enhance the adaptation, enhance your coping capacity, resilience. So that's the way actually CSA not only concerned about increasing production, but it also helps you to enhance your adaptive capacity, your resilience. So that is going to address these challenges and strengthen the sustainable agricultural practices, because only helping producing more may not be the solution, because when this kind of disaster happens, so even if suppose your field is full of rice crops, say per se rice, if we take as an example, so if there is a huge flood, so that may take away, even if you took care of your productivity, means production, kilo per hectare or ton per hectare term when we talk about. But what CSA does here, CSA also brings in another angle of adaptation. So if your agricultural system, you prepare that if flood take place, then these are the precautions, these are the measures I will take. So you prepare yourself for a flood of a certain scale of a particular area. So that means you are prepared. See, this preparedness or adaptive mechanisms comes through the concept of CSA. And that's why CSA can help addressing the challenges and also, strengthen these agricultural practices. So, and another aspect, Supreet, I just forgot to mention that if you see that CSA, one of the objective was also to reducing greenhouse gas emission. So it also, allows the farmers to cultivate the crops in such a manner that you produce more grain but emit less greenhouse, because we all know that some of the agricultural crops has the potential to pump in greenhouse gases in the environment, but that is in very small amount. But that small amount can also be made almost negligible if CSA practice is followed. So that's the way that CSA can help you adapting, reducing greenhouse gases, and also at the same time increasing your productivity.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, can you give us some examples of such agricultural practices which can be taken up for disaster risk management and can also ensure climate change adaptation?
Yes, of course. See, there are actually a lot of practices which can become the part of CSA in climate smart agriculture. Some are already existing. Perhaps we have been following, farmers have been following in developing or developed country, but we did not term them as CSA. Say for example, agroforestry. So where you can grow agricultural crop along with forest, plant species. That is one way that you can actually follow these CSA practices. Intercropping, where you use, different crops, not only one crop you are growing. Because if you go for monoculture, certainly you bring in lot of risk into your system. So even in any business also, right, it is always advised to diversify your businesses, right? Same way in agriculture also, it is often advised that if you diversify your cropping system, you reduces your risk and you enhances your resilience. Then comes crop rotation, another practice which can be followed up. Crop rotation is a very simple, and from time immemorial people are following it. Rice, after rice you take, say, mustard, and then you take another crop, legumes, like that. Why? Because if you suppose grow rice takes out a lot of nitrogen from the soil, because the grains that we rice grains we eat, it requires huge amount of nitrogen. So nitrogen we pump in also through fertilizer and also from the soil. It takes up. Now, after one rice crop you harvest, then that soil actually is lack of nitrogen. Now, if you grow again another rice crop, then certainly you are going to completely suck out the nitrogen from the soil system. Soil is like a mother, it delivers a baby in the form of rice grain. Now, naturally, a mother cannot, if goes for another baby, immediately delivering one baby. So you can imagine that she herself, the mother, will be weak. So naturally, the production which will get will be also poor quality, because soil is mother, like mother earth, we call it, no? So it reduces its productivity. Nitrogen is getting pumped out of the system. So that's why after rice crop, you grow a leguminous crop. Leguminous crops helps to restore nitrogen in the soil. Then you grow for probably again another rice crop. So this is the way, crop rotation is one way that, we can take care of our soil and also the environment and climate. Next is cover cropping. That is also very good actually. You grow certain kind of crops which helps you covering the soil, and it takes care of many other aspects, uh, because these are very huge topic. I do not have scope today to explain to you in detail. But you ask me what are the ways? These are the ways. Traditional organic composting is another way. you can actually, there are a lot of problem in India and elsewhere, that crop residue burning. We often say that instead of burning, you just put those crop residue into the soil so that microorganisms will degrade and it will enhance the organic matter of the soil instead of burning it. So that is one. And then finally, another one that it comes to my mind is integrated crop and animal farming. Which many stalwart in agriculture like Professor M.S. Swaminathan and many others often recommended that whenever we call agriculture, we often mean crops, plants, grains, food grains. But we neglect the other part of agriculture, that is livestock, because livestock is a very important part of our agriculture system, especially in India. So integrated crop and animal farming would be another very good way under climate smart agriculture to take care of this kind of risk.
Yes. So, sir, like you've mentioned certain practices. So, are these practices different from the traditional practices that communities have been following? Or is it easier for communities to adopt these climate smart agriculture practices?
No, yes, as I said you that some of the practices that I have mentioned, our people are doing it, like integrated crop animal farming. It sounds very new. No, it is not new. If you look at that from the very beginning of Indian agriculture, hundreds of years back, livestock and crop, they were integrated. Within a village, people will grow, take care of livestock, take care of crop also. It was like everything in a one system, so sustainable. Then of course our population grew, demand increased, so we started producing more and more food crops, okay, grains. But that doesn't stop us to continue following some of these practices like agroforestry also. If you see that agroforestry is not something new, so it was existing there. Now why I'm telling this, that only few things, few ideas, few concepts perhaps has come little recently. Otherwise many of the way that people already were doing it, our farmers are following it. It is just how to mix these practices at the right time and at the right amount. That is what will make it climate smart, people. So I would say that it is not that you are bringing in a totally new practice from some system into our system, but there are already certain existing practices which can also be called as climate smart practices, provided, as I said, that it takes care of those 3-4 objectives at the beginning when I said that. All right.
Yes, yes. So, sir, is it also possible to adopt some of the climate smart agriculture practices in urban or peri-urban areas?
Yeah, that's a very critical question you have asked, Suprit. See, in the rural area, means rural agriculture area, it is already, as I said you, that in some places it is being followed, but a huge amount of awareness is still required. Many people are unknowingly already following some practices which we can categorize as CSA, but in the urban and peri-urban area, now see that we are talking about agriculture. So we in our urban area, we don't have much agriculture kind of activities, right? So if I come to now peri-urban area, yes, in some parts, some peri-urban areas, there we will find that some activities, agriculture activities are going on. Especially in Delhi, Gurgaon, Gurugram, Haryana, those are so what I could say, very close to each other. And there are certain peri-urban areas where you will find that a big express highway is passing, cutting through the very fertile land full of yellow mustard flower in October, November. This is a very common scene. Anyone traveling from Delhi to Punjab, and people love to travel and during those point of time to see those golden mustards flower. So those areas, if we call them peri-urban area, certainly you can also follow CSA practices. So anywhere, wherever agriculture is being followed, CSA can be opted for. There is no kind of restriction that it can be only applied in rural area, but urban area I am not sure, because to my knowledge, in Indian urban areas, we do not have any kind of scope of having agriculture per se.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And sir, like you mentioned that we see those beautiful mustard flowers on both sides of the roads in India. So where does India as a whole stand when it comes to integration of climate smart agriculture in our practices?
Yes, as I said that whole world and so is India is now uh, well aware about CSA and its importance. Indian agriculture system is largely governed by Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICAR, which comes under Ministry of Agriculture. So they are actually following it. They are also training their farmers across the country, and they have a huge network of agriculture universities, extension, as you know, that extension center, Kendriya Krishi Vigyan Kendras. So through all these things, they are trying to make farmers or people who are into farming aware about these CSA practices. Um, See, sustainable agriculture concept, as I said, is not new. Only that climate part, that how you can actually take care to reduce some of the risks coming into agriculture is being taken care of by ICR institutes, large way. But at the same time, institutes like ours, Indian Institute of Technology, many universities, many people across the board, they are also working. People who have interest in this field, CSA, are working. As you already in introduction mentioned about me, I am by training is an agricultural person and trained from ICR Institute, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, which is known by PUSA, located in New Delhi, near Karol Bagh. So what I mean to say that concept of CSA is already here in India. We are following it. It is going to the farming sectors quite fast. Farmers are also enthusiastic. So I do not see that any problem of our farmers or farming community to come forward and take part in this beautiful initiative of climate smart agriculture in the recent time.
Right. So, sir, like you mentioned that we are already adopting and integrating sustainable agriculture, and the climate part is now added also. So, sir, are there any good practices from Indian context which enable fulfillment of climate smart agriculture in all its three objectives, like you mentioned, including the one of sustainable development goals?
Another very good question. Um, Again, see, in India, Indian Council of Agriculture Research is responsible mainly for agriculture related, but we all of us are also contributing in whichever way we can. Internationally, globally, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, they are responsible organizations for taking forward various initiatives which are associated with agriculture. So CSA is also one of them. So you ask me what are some of the best practices that could enable CSA in our country context, means in Indian context. I see many. Like when you ask me the question that what are the different way, I gave example or sorry, excuse me, 4 or 5 different type of farming practices, right? Just couple of minutes back. So in all those farming practices, they actually open the opportunity or enable us to introduce different best practices in our Indian context. What are those and how it could be done? I can give you a couple of examples. Government of India is already implementing a national mission of sustainable agriculture. We call it NMSA, which is one of the 8 missions under the National Action Plan on Climate Change, NAPCC. In parallel, we have Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, PMKSY. So these are the, I am mentioning now one by one, which are already existing way that CSA can be enabled in India. Now PMKSY, what it envisages? It envisages per drop more crop, means every single drop of water should be able to give me more crop. So they are promoting micro deep irrigation to conserve water. There is also recently there is a push from the government side to push a cluster based organic farming, through the another scheme which is called Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, PKVY. See, there are already many schemes, but the thing is that somehow uh, we are not aware of many very useful implementable schemes around, and these are the tools through which we can enable CSA. This kind of mission and programs is extensively leveraging the adaptation to climate smart agriculture. If you go into these schemes that I mentioned, few I have given example, there is a huge list of good initiatives the government of India has initiated. So each one of them, if you look at, you will find that majority of them have the climate smart practices inbuilt into that. So those technologies are already coming as a enabling technology for CSA into our Indian system. To already I've given couple of name of the schemes, but let me now give one example, not not through any kind of specific order or anything. Just I am getting it in my brain right now. Is Haryana. Haryana is taking great, jump towards sustainability by scaling up, implementation of climate resilient agricultural practices. They call it climate smart villages. It's a project. And what it does, it seeks to make 75,000 farming families in around 250 villages of 10 paddy and wheat growing districts more resilient against climate change. So see, we have example already working here, enabling CSA into our system. So I mean, there I can name actually many other example that in Indian context, it has been already contextualized and implemented, and works are going on.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was very educating for me also. Also knowing that in Indian context, the technology as well as the push from the policy side is also there. So that is definitely a good practice to take away. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I hope the viewers have also enjoyed and learned something new regarding climate smart agriculture and how they can integrate it. And if there would be any further questions, you can also write to us at the email ID or also comment in the comment section. Thank you so much. And thank you so much again, sir.
Thank you, Shukrit. It was pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, sir.